Welcome to the Murphy, Sam, and Jodi After the Show podcast. I learned a lesson this weekend that I didn't realize I actually learned in the 5th grade, Jodi. And here I am all these years later. You know, I want to share it because I think it applies to anybody's life. And it has to do with getting awards. When was the first time you won an award?
3rd grade.
But yeah, and what did you win for,
that.
Jodi?
Oh, wait, no. I won one before that, like in kindergarten. And I don't know, most musical person or something.
Oh, that's okay.
They rewarded my behavior or something. I don't know. I just remember thinking it was a cool trophy, and I had it in my room forever.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Oh, you got a trophy for it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
something at the end of the year, the most something. And I don't know why musical. I don't know what it was exactly.
Yeah. What about you, Sam?
Yeah, speaking of musical, I got a trophy in 6th grade for being the best musician in the band.
Oh, what did you play?
Drums.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah.
Congrats,
then
Sam.
Then I quit the band. So
Right.
yeah, quit on a high note.
I was never musical past that.
It's really something special, especially when you get that first one in your entire life.
Right.
And certificates are wonderful, but there's something about a trophy or a plaque, you know, that really sticks out, that's special and it's different. So for me, the first was like, I think, perfect attendance in the 1st grade, which was the last time I had perfect attendance in school. But anyway, but the first time that I ever received a true plaque was actually in the 5th grade.
Okay.
But it was bittersweet. I was actually bummed to get it.
Because it was second place?
Exactly. Jodi knows me so well. It was second place because we were graduating from the 5th grade. You know, it's at the end of elementary school, going into 6th grade. And so it was the award ceremony. And there were 3 different places for grade point averages and all that kind of stuff. It was honors is what they called it.
Oh.
So they went through all the 3rd place honors and those were awarded. And I really thought my grades had been great. And so when they called me out, they called my name out, I was bummed. I mean, I loved being acknowledged for it, but I was really bummed. I felt like, man, what did I do
You thought
wrong
you were number
here?
one?
No, I didn't think I was. I've never thought I was number one in that because I always did well in school, but the brains were obviously the brains. You know what I'm saying? And so then there were a number of my friends, probably, 10 or 12 of my really close friends who got the top tier.
Oh.
So that part of the ceremony comes to a close, and I think that we're wrapping, and then they say, okay, well, we've got one more award. This award was called the Audie Kirby Award, and the reason it was named that is that one of the principals of my elementary school that is named in her honor. Mm-hmm. The principal at that time was Miss Elkins, don't remember her first name, and she was the one that went up there and began to explain that the Audie Kirby Award is the award that is basically an all-around award. It's citizenship, it's grades, it's how you conduct yourself, and it's how other people see you. And they're going, through and explaining that. And I was wondering, there were a couple of people in the class that I was thinking, I know exactly who's going to win that one.
Oh, you didn't think that one was you?
No, I did not think that one was me. And then so they called my name out, and it was me. And I was blown away by that, at that time. And because, again, first award as a kid, it's the kind of thing, it really means something to you. But as I was going through the box, and I found I actually still have those 2 plaques.
Oh.
And I realized, that, going through life, a lot of times when you hit that moment where you think you've achieved something and you don't quite hit the mark, there's usually something better around the corner. At least that's been my experience for the most part. And I share that for that reason. It's a life lesson. Whether you're younger and still in school and listening to this podcast or not, or you're hitting bumps and you're hitting bruises in your life, it's true. At some point, it doesn't mean that it's going to be nothing but perfection for the rest, of your life, but you're going to hit these little stumbling blocks and you think it's really like you've fallen short and you're not going to succeed at what you're doing. But the next thing you know, that next door opens and it happens. And, after that, it's been kind of a roller coaster, ride. And then I think the other, the big one that you realize is it's wonderful to have those accolades in school, but then you transition into real life and realize that, those accolades had their place in their time and they were great for the morale booster. But in your professional working life, your elementary school plaques, they're great for personal stories and all that, and they're great for, like I would say, when Jodi says keep the wow. You know what I'm saying? If there's really something that was so impactful from your childhood that it's steered you through your entire life, by all means, hold on to that, right?
Keep it in your mind. It just means keep it in your psyche,
right?
When you need it.
I also, I remember having so much success in. So my grades were just, I don't know, it was probably above average. I don't remember what I graduated with, 3.2 something, maybe, something like that. It was all, I'd never wanted to be a valedictorian. I never really thought that I had those kinds of, book smarts. And quite frankly, it was more important to me to grow my social smarts, because I already knew early on that was going to be the key to,
and that's all still where you excel.
And that's another one I can't take credit for. That's a combination of my grandmother. It's a combination of John Dobbs, who was the teacher of the radio program, which eventually opened up, every other door in my life, because, he understood how to teach people beyond what their vocation was. And, but, you come out of high school and the world is so different. Those things that you were rewarded for, they're wonderful, they're important, but you're going to hit the next set of bumps and bruises. But I think the same thing applies again, because just when you think it's the end of the road for something, something's going to change, somewhere. And I think that really is what hope is all about. And I also realize now you need to remember that no matter where you are in your life, and I'm sure it gets tougher the older you get. I don't want to pretend to know what my grandmother experienced by living for so long that she lost all of her friends, and you know what I'm saying? But it's just it's an important thing to remember, to me, at any stage that you're at in your life, is that it's okay to get second place even when you wanted first, because something's going to happen. And look, first place isn't everything anyway, right?
It's another plaque. But you're right, because your circumstances change. Does your boss care that you didn't miss a whole year of work? No.
No, they expect you.
Right. It's like you don't get perfect attendance at work
for that one.
No, you don't.
But those things that you are taught and rewarded for are so important in school, because they do set up you for your approach to life, your discipline, your responsibility. All of those things. But it was so weird, because when I was just going through the box and I looked at those, it's the first time I ever thought about. Honestly, I hadn't thought about those in forever. It was the fifth grade, But that's where I remembered the feelings. It's so weird how you pick up something like that and it transports you emotionally back to that time. And I remembered that feeling. And then I remember oh my God, because they both came from the same award ceremony. And it was more profound for me now
sure.
at my current age than it was, when I was 10 years old.
Yeah. Someone saw something in you to give you that end of the day. Here's the big character award. I call it what it sounds like. It was some sort of overall character award.
Yeah.
Somebody in that administration saw that in you. And so, that should mean more to you now.
Yeah.
Because you can't grasp what that means when you're. I'm sure it gave you a confidence boost, and that's the beauty of it.
Sure.
I always hope that with regard to award ceremonies, which will be coming up on some in May at the end of a school year, I always hope that everyone doesn't earn an award, but when giving those out, real thought to what you're saying this is for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes, you're right.
Yeah. And real thought into maybe the process of how many teachers vote on it or how many administrators vote on it. How is that done? Just because when a name is called and it's a huge auditorium full of school kids, when the name is called, it also tells every person who hears it something about themselves. Like, I didn't get it this year, or I didn't expect to get it anyway, or I knew he was going to get it. We all have internal dialogue all the time, especially children.
Yeah.
And they need more context for it than we do.
Yeah.
I know that was a surprise to you, but have either of y'all ever not won an award that you thought, I'm a shoe-in for this?
No.
No.
never
like you
thought
were
I was
expecting, oh, okay, I'm going to get this one.
No,
I don't think I've
no.
ever been a shoe-in for anything, honestly. In fact, it's quite the opposite. I mean, I think anything that
Don't expect it.
anything that I have achieved over time is usually because I've fallen down and, busted my nose, not literally, but figuratively speaking. You know what I'm saying? It's always the hardest things. I don't, it's not like I got that many awards for things anyway. I'm trying to think back, like science fairs and stuff. I always hoped I did, but I never thought I was going to be a shoo-in. I did get second place, in one thing that my dad actually wound up helping me build, and I'm happy about that. I did all the presentation part, but I kind of felt a little bit guilty about getting a second place ribbon
how
for
many
something
kids
that I'd
have
only
done
been part of. I know.
Yeah.
I think you can let that guilt go.
I know, right. But it's as we're talking about this now, Jodi, what you just said really does it illustrates to me the importance also of teachers and the teachers who really are engaged with you. And I know that's more challenging today in today's environment. That's why I love what today's teachers are able to do, because to still maintain the passion with all the challenges that didn't exist. There were no technological distractions and those kind of things in the classroom other than no calculators. But the fact that teachers and others were that engaged in molding me as who I am. And I remember the other thing about that is my parents, like many parents, are always emphasizing just treat others well. Even when they don't treat you well, you treat other people well. And so I guess that's part of what you were saying, Jodi, the citizenship part of that, maybe, because I've always been that way. We joke about that from time to time about, you talk about how nice I am to people at the drive-through windows and, all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where
I think you always had it. I think that's who you are.
Yeah.
You obviously, what's funny about when you first said minutes ago about you winning the big award, I'm thinking, of course, he was already this person.
Yeah.
And you are, that's true. When you're born, part of it is your environment and who's nurturing you and what roof you live under. But it also, you are who you are when you're born. There are certain character traits that you have when you're born. Mm-hmm. And Murphy already had some of that. Some of that little leadership, obviously. So, yay, did you keep your plaques? I know you did.
Yeah, that's why I came across them as I was cleaning out a box the other day, and that's what brought it all back to mind.
I came home to all these boxes and all this stuff, and you rerouted some of it, didn't you? Reorganize it and put it away?
Yeah.
Sweet.
So for what it's worth, I hope that's a helpful message to, share if you're facing some sort of a challenge right now in your life where you really wanted to be, number one, number two at something, and you're number three. It's not a big deal.
You mean if you wanted to win an Oscar last night and you didn't win?
Actually, you're right, Sam.
Missed any part of the show? Get it all on the Murphy, Sam, and Jodi podcast.